Being broadcast on Facebook Live.
Ooh. We're on. And three, two, one, ladies, as usual, we're gonna toast it up.
Oops,
I
wasn't
think
ready.
TT might be frozen. Oh, there you go.
Toast it up, ladies.
There
How
we
you
go.
doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing
Hey,
good.
everybody.
Everybody great out there. We got Sunday brunch going live right now. Yes, with my girls as usual. Carolyn Towns, living beyond you. Development Behavior Specialist from Bayonne, New Jersey. Tameka Dixon, WNBA great, and current business owner and future Hall of Famer out of Linden, New Jersey. Penny Toler,
Hey.
WNBA great. Yes, yes, general manager and future Hall of Famer out of Washington, D.C. Ladies, welcome to Sunday Brunch.
Hello,
Way. Thanks
hello.
for having us.
Glad to be on. Glad to be on. Listen, we got an all-star cast as ballers today, which always makes for a great show. And so, piggybacking off of last week's conversation, we know that both the NBA and the WNBA have decided on a season, and the men will play in Orlando and at Walt Disney, which owns ESPN, and they're going to use the Disney Resort for all the games, the practices, and the housing, and the teams will begin training starting July 9th through the 11th. And the WNBA also has proposed a shortened 22-game regular season, and they will tip off on July 24th in one location at the IMG Academy. So that's good news. And we also know that the NFL will undoubtedly chime in, and they're going to follow suit. So, Penny, I'm coming at you with this one. The seasons are shortened due to the COVID-19. So I want you to discuss the changing of sports due to this pandemic now that the University of Houston has suspended their workouts after 6 student athletes have tested positive, okay? Right now that they're working out. So how important is it for going into the season for the pro athletes at this time to and their families to be really disciplined around social distancing while playing? Because if they don't social distance, I'm telling you, man, it's just gonna be a problem.
I totally agree with you. Sports as we know it, especially in 2020, will be forever changed. It's showing you at the University of Houston, and I'm sure they took precaution, but still, yet 6 athletes in various sports turned up with the virus. It's the same when you're bringing everybody. Is like I said last week. There's only so much you can control. When you bring the amount of people that you need to bring together under one roof to try to get this season off, fortunately, we all know that, how do you say, most likely the higher chance that somebody's going to catch coronavirus and spread it to someone. So when you're talking sports, the only way I could see this is the first thing that has to happen. They have to test everybody every day. And when I say every day, they have to test them every day. I'm talking about for practice, for the games, and you're still going to have a problem because what happens with the person that's asymptomatic,
Mhm.
that's walking around with it, that probably tested negative, and then let's say 7 days later or 10 days later, it shows up that they have, coronavirus. Now, how many people have they been in contact with since this was discovered? And this is why I say it's a high risk. And once again, people are not talking about it because they're just talking about the athletes. You have to talk about the coaches because there are several coaches in this league that are in that danger age group, that's 60 and over, that if they catch it, that high demographics of people passing with coronavirus because of the age, the underlying other health issues that you may have. So when you're talking sports and coming back, it's going to be difficult. I know they're trying to do it. It's going to be difficult. This is another reason why I said I don't understand why you're asking the women to take a pay cut, because once again, we're in the comforts of our home, going to be watching them, and they're pretty much putting their lives on the line. And is their life worth what you're paying them? And now you want to discount it? No, it is not. And I'm sure, getting back to what I said at the beginning, Houston had all the players there. I'm sure they were taking precaution. And look at this. Those weren't even organized practices. Those were volunteer workouts. So what happens now when you bring everybody together and it's a contact sport? You know, when we go out far as social distancing, there is no social distancing when you're doing a contact sport. When I have to yell out a play or yell to my teammate, move there, go here, go there, that's a lot of germs that are going to be spreading around. That's going to spread around. So guess what? It's going to be a risky environment. And then you're not going to quarantine everybody, because I hear that they'll be able to go outside and, you know, go to different restaurants. Okay, when they come back and one person gets it, it's going to be just like in a school. One person get it, then the next person has it. And even though you're going to have some other players up on deck that can come in and probably substitute, but then what is that going to do for the sport? It's going to water down the sport, because who's coming in may not be as good as who's going out. And what happens if 4 or 5 people on a team has to go out? You know, what is the rotation in terms of, okay, that team can't play this week, so what happens to the schedule then? It's a lot. If they can get it up and going and make it happen, I'm all, you know, hey, more power to you. But I think it's going to be very, very difficult. And as I said before, I wouldn't be putting my life on the line for it. And I definitely wouldn't be putting my life on the line for it. And you want me to come in and take 40% of my pay and pay me 60%. You know, at that rate, as far as I'm concerned, you need to be doubling my salary to get me out there. And like I say, sports make everybody happy. But once again, they're being at risk, and I'm sitting in the comfort of my home watching them. So it's a big risk. It's a big risk. And I'm not surprised at what happened in Houston, because you cannot control every environment. You cannot isolate where the players go, who they touch. You cannot isolate. A trainer could bring it in. A statistician person could bring it in. The official could bring it in. You cannot control. It's impossible to control all the environment. So sports are forever changed, at least in 2020, until they get a cure. We have to have a cure.
Yep.
Absolutely, I agree with you. You want to elaborate on that, Meek?
Man, I think PT, you pretty much answered the question from top to bottom, on, you know, on this whole situation. I just think it's going to be really, really difficult, like she said, to control every environment. And, you know, every day you're facing ongoing issues with this, and it's going to continue. And then, you know, again, and I've mentioned it a few weeks ago when we had our Sunday brunch, when that one person catches it, you know, on that team, what are the effects that's going to happen after that? Because that's what's going to be, you know, important, and how they deal with that. And that's going to be a domino effect. So it's going to be tough to bring it back. And then now you add something like these protests and things. I saw some of the NBA players coming out stating that, you know, they didn't want to play due to the fact that, you know, they think that this is a moment in time for them, that, you know, they want to kind of take a stance on the Black Lives movement. And, you know, if you bring sports back, it kind of, you know, eliminates the seriousness of what's going on now. So you have that whole dynamic as well. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, how this thing gets off, and what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and you bring up a valid point yourself, in regards to this, because you know it's all tied in, and you know athletes were used, and you know prompts me right into the next thing that I was going to talk about, because you know, athletes were used as vehicles to promote change. And so you see more and more different athletes out there right now just showing up, you know, supporting the protests that are out there right now, because this is a sensitive matter to us. And most of the athletes that are in the WNBA, that are in the NBA, are African American. And so we're affected by, not only having a messed up economy, having messed up leadership, but also having racial tension that hasn't been seen in a long time, and so, it was always our grandparents' eyes that we were looking at for, through to see racism. Now we get the opportunity to see it at face value, and not only is it affecting our race, but it's trickling down, into other races, and then now it's bringing up other issues, and now people are finding other things to pick it about. And so, the world is crazy right now. And so, it definitely prompts me to the next thing that I was going to talk about. And, Tameka, you know, um, uh, from a player's perspective, and piggybacking from last week, and you talking about how important it was for players to stay in shape during the times of uncertainty, which is certainly what we have. What does that mean to a player right now? I mean, all of a sudden your season is over. All of a sudden you can't come into the WNBA. All of a sudden you're preparing to go to, let's just throw Dallas out there for 2020. And, COVID comes along and steals your dream of playing in the WNBA because of a limited roster. You have a trainer. You know that for the rest of the year, that's what you're going to be doing. Um, what's the mindset for that?
I think from an athlete standpoint, your standpoint doesn't change. You still, have to prepare to be the best player that you can be. Um, these circumstances are unprecedented. It's just different. Everything you probably did to prepare yourself for each season, you probably got to throw that out the window and have a new blueprint for this year. It's difficult. Um, but I think, if you're a professional athlete and this is what you're doing, you got to you got to be creative with it. You got to figure things out and try to be the best professional athlete that you can be. It's different though, no doubt about it. And I definitely wouldn't want to be a rookie coming into the 2020 season like this. It's difficult circumstances, but I think, what you could do, and I always, try to elaborate on having a plan B, because these things kind of, this has forced you to look at life outside of basketball. So then now what are you doing on that front? Think about things that you want to do about life after basketball and see if you can figure some things out in that realm. But your goals and your dreams of playing professional basketball are still there. So you still have to make sure that you can be the best athlete that you can be, prepare your body, prepare your mind to be that. So that when your number is called, because again, with this whole COVID situation, if you have not, or if you were waived before you even got a chance to, to prove yourself at the next level, there may be still an opportunity for you to come into a team. If, for example, somebody is infected with the COVID-19, and now they're electing to bring someone else in to fill that position. So there's opportunities. There's going to be opportunities for you to do that. You have to be ready when your number's called. And as difficult as it may be, you have to be a professional in that circumstance, and make sure that you're available. Your body's ready, your mind is ready, and you're ready to step into that position when your number's called.
And just to elaborate a little bit on what Meek was saying, and it goes back to just like when we had the whole segment with Tara talking about mentally,
Hmm.
that this is a perfect example when people ask me a lot of time, hey Penny, what's the difference between college and the pros? I say in the pros is 80% mental, maybe more, because everybody's physically fit. Everybody's, been the best of the best on their team. This is where that mental capacity comes in, where everything has to be done right and correct and followed by the rules. What I mean, social distancing, going to practice, finding a way to eat without coming in contact with a lot of people. And more importantly, I'm sure you guys experienced it just like I experienced it. When we had to stay in the house, that was a lot. To stay quarantined in one area, mentally, that was a lot because I even got tired of eating. I went into eating. I couldn't eat no more because I was eating. I mean, I done watched everything on Netflix, Prime Video. So now to ask to be, even with a team, look at the dynamics of when I'm a competitor and I'm going against Meek. I don't want to see Meek face every day. I got to play against Meek. You know what I'm saying? Now all of us being up under one roof and seeing each other and only having each other, I'm telling you, that becomes a mental thing here. And that mental capacity is going to be a lot. And I think, physically, I think a lot of people are going to be ready, but I'm saying mentally, for what it's going to take to get through this season, it's going to take a lot because that it's going to be mental strain. You coming from one mental strain, being at home, coming to another mental strain where you may even have to leave your family. You know what I'm saying? And now the even bigger question is this right here. When I'm at home, I can control that. Whether I go outside or do I go social distancing? But now, guess what? I got to come compete against somebody that may not be doing everything that I'm doing to stay healthy here. To stay around, that what somebody else is doing can affect me, and God forbid. And I pray every day that if they do come back, that no, I don't want to be the one. I don't want to be the one to shut it down, or I don't want to be the one to catch it and I pass away. I don't want to be the one that somebody's sister, somebody's mom, somebody's aunt, somebody's mother. I don't want to be that one. I don't want to be that one. And that's why I say they really have to look at this. We want sports back, but is it worth it to put people's lives? And like Meek said, and I forgot about it, and I read it this week too, some of the NBA players are like, it's not worth it. And they don't want to come back. Yep. And they're making millions, some of them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I started to read some really powerful articles in regards to that, which actually leads me right to Tara once we start getting to the mental aspect of things and, prompting you and Tara, as we all know, the world is in chaos and, what can we do or use as positive sources of influence during a time where our leadership is failing, the economy is at an all-time unemployment rate, alongside civil unrest? How important is it for people to see athletes fighting for justice with the organizations backing them up? Now, the NFL owners are starting to chime in, and they're starting to be in agreement that, it was okay to be on one knee in the first place. Does this mean that it's a sign of growth for African American athletes, or is it just people just continuing to play it out because it's the right thing to do?
Well, there's so many different things in one question, but it coincides. I think with the chaos and what's going on, we just spoke about that, and Penny spoke about what I want to add to that is that the structure and the responsibility is very, very important, because if they're putting the families all together, and even though they're setting it up as if it's going to be like their own little community, like Penny said, is workers too, right? If the children are going to be on the rides, who's running the rides? Who's working in the restaurants? Who's cleaning these facilities? Like these, wherever they're going to stay, who's cleaning that? What is their air filtration? They should have, these are things that I would be thinking about because I have them in my home when I'm home. I'm still in South Dakota, but when I'm home, I'm telling you, my air is clean. I have the duck people come out, but these are just things that they really need to consider. I have duck people come out before Corona because I'm a little paranoid with germs, which is a good thing now. And they tell me, oh, you're good for 6 months. Nope. I have them come. I change my filters every month. These are just things that we could do in our own home. But like Penny said, we have to rely on other people to be responsible with how they are conducting their distancing and the way that they eat and the way that they think. And I say this, I say that. It definitely is wonderful. The idea is wonderful. I'm not really big on comparing money to life because it's just no comparison, right? But like we were speaking about earlier, Adrienne, you know, someone's child, now children are, I love them to pieces and I work with them a lot, but they are the dirtiest little germ carriers on the planet. So you're going to now have them playing around each other. You think that all of those kids are going to always wear a mask, always, you know, cover up? Oh, no, because they're kids. So is there going to be a protocol with training put in place before before the families move into the place? I definitely agree with having people tested constantly. But once again, there's people who carry this and never develop a symptom. So what do we do about those people? Like I said, the air filtration, the water being purified like to a level past the normal 8. We need to go up in the 10s, you know, with the pH balance to kill anything trying to come about. I know it's extreme, but that's what I would do. And these are things that you can do at home because you're asking, what could we do that's positive in the middle of this chaos? Because I always say there's 2 recipes in life, and there's a recipe for chaos, and then there's a recipe for success. So to set yourself up for success, you must do things that will bring success, which are positive things. So in my opinion, people at home, it always starts at home first. Yes, keep your bodies together, keep your minds together, which is most important with everything, but your air, your water, your food. Now, I'm saying Corey, my son, he's a child that's still, and I play with him, so that's why he's like that. He's 12, and he still plays, and he loves to play. But there's a protocol now. No one could come knock on the door anymore anyway. But when they come to the door, the other day he said to me, I'm not going to go. I said, you're not going to go, right? He's like, nah, it's just too much to put on all the gear. But I laughed. But I said to myself, thank you, Lord. It's deterring him from wanting to be with the kids. But the good thing is that his brain is starting to process that, nope, when that knock comes, I got to put on a mask, gloves, my hat. But I don't want to do all that. Point
Right.
being, training your children, training yourselves to, think in that way that one breath, one sneeze, one cough, one blink of an eye the wrong way, one touch could be that one person or yourself not on this planet anymore. So is it all worth it, right? And then the part of the chaos comes from the fear. So we cannot control this as we know it, right? And I have a brother who's on the front line, who's on the COVID floor since day 1 in New Jersey. So he's telling me,
hey, Ronnie.
Thank you, Ronnie. Seriously. And he has a whole thing that he has to go through before he even enters in the house. I couldn't even live with him if that was my husband. I love you, Ronnie. You would have a little studio apartment somewhere right now. But point being, there's so much protocol, and I feel that we're not following that as a people, right? Because you have people who just came in Arizona, they opened everything up, they're just walking around like da-di-da-di-da in restaurants. Stop it. I'm seeing infants, I'm seeing children in supermarkets and places not protected and prepared. Please put in your mind, the bottom line of this point is that you are not invincible. You are not untouchable. This is not white, black, Chinese. This is celebrities are getting this, billionaires are getting it, and people who don't have money are getting it. So it's your mind preparation should be to have a protocol on safety. Like it's that serious. Corey knows. You go to that closet to get your helmet, and that mask is right along with it, or you're not going outside to play. So he's starting to now ration and say, man, I don't even want to do all that to go out. That's a wonderful thing. We can do that with kids because they're serious spreaders in germs, and we know that. And as far as you were saying about chaos, there's so many areas, right? We have personal stuff. We have even being quarantined with our family. I mean, there are people who I spoke to, 2 of my friends, who just got married and now they wish they never did. Like that's sad. Seriously.
Yeah.
She was like, you're going to be rich when this is all over. I'm like, really?
COVID bring it out.
Yes, serious. She's like, oh my God, you're going to be rich. But anyway, the point is, like Penny was saying too, and Mika too, you you're going to be now put into a place where you normally had your space, right? Athletes, you guys can pull up when you want to. It's not a collective group that comes to the practice together. You come when you want to, but it's going to be so many different things. I hope that they put them in place. But now even your personal space is invaded. Do you know what I mean? And this is why the mental part is beyond important, because even at home, there's parents saying, Lord Jesus, I mean, I never drank, but I'm at home with 5 of my kids doing math, today's math, and I'm an executive and I don't know what these problems are. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I know, me too. I have that challenge too. But people starting to not like their own family members. You know, they love them, but just saying, wow, I didn't know he did that, and I didn't know he grind his teeth every second, and I didn't, because you weren't around them. It's going to be the same thing with these players. It's going to be habits that they didn't know that each other had, their family habits, the children. I mean, a lot of things are going to be weighing on the brains, and then on top of that, I have to perform, and I have to not die while I'm doing it or get sick or spread it to someone else, because then there's the embarrassment with that. Like Penny was just saying, I love that point, because people are not speaking up about it. Some people are being responsible, but some people are scared when they have an antibody and they know they had it, but they didn't show any symptoms, or they had someone who died from it and they're being really like, yeah, my aunt died. You know, everyone's like, oh, is it COVID? Like, that's the whole news, the COVID. No, there are people dying from different things, you know, that normally take us out as well. But you just have this whole little new system, and you have to be open to the newness, right? Because we're going to have these patterns that have us still wanting to be the way that we are. That's not going to fly. That's not going to work. You got to be open to it. So that's another thing that we can do in this chaos, is just seriously open ourselves to newness, to freshness, because it is, in my opinion, I don't think it'll ever be what it was. Do you know what I mean? Even when they find a cure, and we're still going to have a lot of trauma and a lot of different, you know, thoughts bringing us back to how we grew through this situation. So being open to newness, trying new things, talking to new people. As far as I want to address the business, the unemployment, I have a little slogan: turn that unemployment into self-employment. Find something, like Mika was saying. Find something. Have a backup plan. You must, but do things that you haven't done before. I'm about to go camping, Lord Jesus, and not staying in a cabin. I mean, like real camping, okay? And I'm like, oh, and my kids are so excited. I'm like, oh my God. And you know, Adrienne, the bugs and all that stuff. I'm like, woo, okay. However, I'm still gonna do it my way though, because I got me a bed to go into the tent off the floor. I'm not being on the floor. My daughter's like, no, Mom, wearing sleeping bags. No, I'm not no sleeping bag on the floor. But start exposing yourself to things that you would never even think you would do. Like we went to see bears last week. Oh my God, that was another thing. I'm not going back to do that, but that was fun for a minute. But I'm cool because they are very strong and they get mad. So I witnessed that. I have a video of it. My point is, expose yourself to new things so that when you have to live in this world, when we relive in this world after this is whatever going to do what it's going to do, that we're already open to newness. Because you're going to have just different things you're going to have to deal with people. We're being forced to deal with certain things in quarantine that we never faced in our lives before. So opening up yourself to newness and just connecting yourself with people who you have not. So I love to say, where I'm aspiring to go, yes, that's who I want to speak to, right? Because I have people like me trying to get there too, and I have people who are not even up to this level. But it's not that you have to, you know what I'm saying, only be around that. But start setting up meetings. As far as the unemployment, turning that into self-employment. Obviously, explore things that you love, do things that you would never do, because you might find out that you want to work with bears. I don't think so, but you might. You might want to work with them or go camping with bugs. No, but start doing things because it will inspire you to start looking in other places. Sometimes we just get so stuck on what we think we're supposed to do with life or what somebody told us when we were little kids that we had to be when we grew up. You know, grow up again. That's what I want to say. I invite you to grow up again, explore things that you wouldn't think you would. You might find something in there. But set up meetings. Like what I've been doing is, well, I really have work from home, so that occupies my day. But for the nonprofit that we have on our anti-bullying campaign and our mission, I set up meetings. I reach out to people that you probably would have 5 people to get to them right now. And guess what? They're responding. Why? Because they're home. So take advantage of people who used to have a whole fort to get up to them to just get a phone call, and then they tell you, oh, just send us an email after all the work. But you know what? Now it's them directly, and they are responding. So I wanted to share that with people. Look in your pipeline on your LinkedIn and your Facebook professional pipeline. Look in there and see the things that apply to you or things that you thought you would never be able to do. I do a dream sheet like every couple of months because my dreams change. They're innovative. They pop up again. Do a dream sheet and then go look in your pipeline and see who matches that. Who has the magic wand in my professional profile that can make this happen, and reach out to them. Don't be scared. Lose the dance with fear, because we have enough stuff seriously to be afraid of with COVID and how it can just, take our lives, not just change them and destroy it, but we could see a positive through all of this stuff. Prepare. Like Mika said, your backup. Start preparing with that. Knowledge, it is empowerment. Information is powerful, but knowledge is empowerment, because the more you really, really know and you store and register, the more, you have access to untapping things. Tap the untapped. Do the unimaginable. Do anything that you thought that you could never do because you have the time now. But reach out to people. I say this for the employment chaos that's going on. Reach out to people. There are grants. I didn't even know about a grant. I'm talking to one of my colleagues. I've been homeschooling Corey. I could have been doing well homeschooling Corey. No, but I'm serious. There's a $20,000 grant in Arizona for moms who are working and still have to, because I was going to hire someone to come in for Corey. I would have never known that had this not been, people are applying for it now because of COVID, but look at the things that are hidden underneath all of the chaos, right? I mean, there's always something sweet under something sour. You know what I'm saying? So as far as that, those are some things that we can do, and definitely addressing the importance of the athletes fighting for justice and being an example. Once again, as we all know, my claim to athletic fame is cartwheels, per my brother, who was an athlete. So I'm not an athlete, but let me tell you, been around them all my life, though. But I love who they are. I love their drive. I love athletes for that reason. So do other people who look up to you guys. You know what I mean? They look up to you, not just because, oh, I want to be like that. I feel a psychological component is that people find security in people who have lived their dreams. That's powerful, right? You guys are really on TV. You really are doing that. That motivates people. It inspires people, but it makes them feel safe in following something that you do or say. This is why we have people, if Michael Jordan puts on Nikes that are orange, which we would, probably wouldn't really pick, not everyone. It's not a common color, should I say. But if he puts them on, oh, they look great all of a sudden. Why? Because his influence is there. So I think it's very, very important for these athletes. I'm happy to see them speaking up, communicating, fighting for justice, because this whole thing, if people are not paying attention, it started with Corona, but it is graduated into a big empowerment ball if you look at it like that, for real. I mean, when are we able to do the things? Unfortunately, George died, and he was a sacrificial lamb, but when have we seen the stuff that we're seeing now, where you're seeing politicians who are not people of color saying, all right, we better sit down now? When are you seeing that? So it's a social shift, and it may be very minute, but you know what I always say? Begin with the little things, and eventually they will catapult into the bigger things. So it's very, very important for the influence of the athletes to speak about this, and even like Penny just said too, to communicate that they don't want to play either, they don't want to go back. Please communicate that, because it is important for everyone to know that it's not just about money out here, that it's so serious that someone who makes 100 million a year saying, I ain't going back yet. That's very, very good for people to hear that, because they're going to know how serious this is. I don't know how, but I just don't think people think that this is serious. I've heard interesting comments like, Corona ain't over here, so it ain't getting me. Please don't think that way, people. Please don't think that way. Be safe and do what you have to do. And then as far as Colin, I just think that people are, because of what's going on, piggybacking off of what I just said, with it's opening up little doors that will open up big doors and universes for us to speak and be protected and, command and demand peacefully what we need to happen. I just think that whether it's a domino effect, whether it's because, you're saying, is it real? Are they just going along? Some people will go along with things. Some people will follow things. Some people, like I said, the orange shoes Michael Jordan had, now they're the best orange shoes on the planet. But then if it just takes that little seed to plant into them, to make them, now you can start shaping the whole, like the meat, on the bone, should I say. You can start shaping their mind into social change, social shifting, and social justice. But it takes the first little thing to open, right? Like when we have a handle on a door, if there's no handle and it's locked, how can we get into it? But if we have that handle and we can open it, once it's open wider, then we could walk through and do what we intended on doing. So if it's just that little nudge right now that's making them say, okay, well, let's rethink, and I apologize. I want to bring this up because I think that I can. I won't say the names, but my daughter, is in the military, and something really touched her on the base, because, we're in South Dakota. So before this, what type of state this is, politically a red state. And so basically they've had little slurs. People come by, through the gate. She protects the base and the planes, and little racial slurs, not little, I'm saying like to them. But one of her commanding officers came over to her and told her, if you need to come to me, I really don't know what to say. But this was the point. He was like, but I'm open because I don't know what it's like to be you. I really don't. And after seeing all of this protesting, all of this stuff, I just, my heart goes out to you. Anyone says anything to you on this base coming through, they're police officers. He's like, we will handle it. And so my point is, maybe before all of this, it wouldn't have been nothing. He wouldn't have said that to my daughter. But look at how that little seed now is in there. And now it's starting to break down those walls, because racism, and that's a whole nother show, and I'm very passionate about it because I've gone through things on both sides. I've gone through my own people rejecting me because my mother was white, and I've gone through white people not accepting me. So with mixed people, you're like, well, who the heck do we go with? You know what I'm saying? Our own people don't want us, and the white people definitely, we're never white. So all mixed people who believe, honestly, I'm just being real, that you light and your hair, you're not white. You are not white. So I'm just going to leave it at that because I get passionate about that. I've gone through a lot, even from a kid, high school, until I just became my own person in my own race. I'm black, and I love it, and I love my mother too. I give it up to her, but we don't, that's just a whole 100, 200 years of work that needs to be done. Is not going to be done in 2 days or 2 months or 2 years, but the foundation is being set. And the seed is being planted. You do not have a plant before you have a seed. You need the ground first, then you put that seed in it, then you feed it and water it, and then you get your beautiful plant. And I'm praying that all of these things will give us just that in the end.
Amen. And, Tameka and Virginia.
No,
I'm gonna tell you with the Virginia on that name tag there, girl. I can't because I'm so used to Penny, but I love it because Virginia is my favorite state. Peace out to all of my people, Sammy Sosa, but Todd Wood area in the house all the time. But seriously, I know you guys know because we all follow, on Instagram and Twitter and also on Facebook. We have, we follow the WNBA team, so you guys see now how they have picked up their movement in regards to the players really putting it out there as far as the racial discrimination is concerned. And it always starts with us because we do break down barriers. Talk a little bit about that and how important it is for the owners of the teams, especially with Colin right now in the NFL, backing him up right now. They should have did it before. Timing is impeccable, and right now is the time. So talk about that a little bit.
I want to say something on that, and I'm glad you brought it back to that because, yeah, now everybody wants to say something about it, and you're talking about owners, but you're a day late and a dollar short because Kaepernick paid for it. This is real talk with his career when he was trying to just bring awareness to it. This isn't the first time the Black Lives Matter came up. We were in the playoffs, I think it was maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when all the athletes then were wearing the T-shirts, Black Lives Matter, right?
I can't breathe.
And I can't breathe, right. So now, just like when you started out with your question, when you said, hey, is America growing now? Well, here's what's really happening. Let's call it what it is. No, they weren't growing at first, and they probably will be now after the protest. What happened was that blacks said, enough. We're not taking any more of this. Enough. And then there's other people that are non-black that said, you know what, we want to live in a world that's all inclusive. So then they start saying, enough. And now you're seeing what the millennials are saying, enough. And this is the big protest that you have. Because the reality of it is, and it goes back to what I've always been saying, and it's the one big thing that I'm only going to speak from what I know, basketball and probably the majority of football is what race? It's African American. What race is the most affected in America by the coronavirus? Afro Americans. Now you see my point where I'm saying the risk is high when you're talking basketball. What is basketball? 98% black? In the WNBA, I'm sure that's what it is. 98%, so it goes up. And when it comes time to, so you should have a voice. Because right now there's more out people dying. And then you have, on top of us being affected by the coronavirus in the world, I want to say too, affected by coronavirus, then you have these people that still don't get it, that even with a virus going on and a pandemic that's global, you still have these other people that want to separate people by race and someone lose their life, George Floyd, because he was black. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. So personally, I feel like the coronavirus is here to shine a spotlight on something that's bigger than sports. Everybody always say sports is big. No. Right now, we're living in an era, if you look at it, look at what the light is shining on. Now that we're all equal with coronavirus, even though our race is being affected the most by it, that, it really doesn't care, but blacks are being affected by it. And now it's like, well, guess what else happens when there are no sports now? All eyes is on how we live, how we think, how the economy goes. It's gone to something that's more relevant. And don't get me wrong, I love sports. That's what I did my whole life. But now it's shining the spotlight on what's real, like us as human beings.
Yes.
And this is why I say no dollar amount, that I don't care what they're paying the girls. They should get their whole salary. The men too, as far as I'm concerned. But definitely the women, because the salaries are not that much. And it's just showing everybody that, guess what? It's a world out here. All of us should be included. This is not the first time that athletes have stepped up to talk about what they believe in. And it kills me when I look at TV and people tell people like LeBron, shut up and dribble. What they got to do with it? It just takes me back to when people say that statement. It takes me back to, we can just be athletes. And when I say us, I'm talking Afro-Americans, blacks, whatever you want to call us. Not whatever you want to call us, black or Afro-American. So
acceptable.
So, it takes us back to that, we're just athletes? No, we're more than athletes. We're more than that. We have a brain, we have a think, and we African blacks in this world, we put a lot into this economy here. And I'm thankful for all the people out there in the world that are non-blacks that stood up for what they believed in. This protest would not have been successful without them. It took collectively every race that was said, I had enough. So now, back to your question that I was answering, now the world will grow. They had to be told, stop, no, I had enough. Now America will grow after all these protests.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely
definitely.
crazy. And, you know, we had a little mini protest in Bayonne, and, you know, both myself and Tameka were trying to rush off on Sunday to get to doing the protest. And, you know, you put an absolutely awesome picture up on Facebook, standing in front of a sign and just, you know, total silence that spoke volumes. You know, I had a post that I put up when I was talking about Fred Williams when he was my coach in Utah, and you know, I was disgruntled about something, and you know, I went into him and I asked him. I said, Fred, you know, I'm really bothered by this. I really need to say something. And he just was like, Goody, silence is golden. And so when I saw you with that, it reminded me of silence is golden, because you could speak volumes by not speaking, because people are wondering
Oh,
what's going on
yes.
in your mind, and you just put that picture up there. You had on your mask, and you had that, you know, behind your sign, and you know, talk about that and the feeling, and being an athlete and understanding how much power you have. And when you're out there, people pay attention, because you probably got about 400, 300, 400 likes on that picture, me.
Yeah, it was it, and we had a little discussion prior to, us coming on. It was awesome to see, and the protest that I actually took part in was organized with about 4 or 5 high school kids in my community organized a protest. So when you see stuff like that, you're encouraged because you have these young people that organize this powerful rally, and we had over 2,000 people come out to it. Um, but what's different about this time and 2, 3 years ago with the whole Eric Garner thing is it seemed like it was just us. It was just the African American people that
Mm-hmm.
was was mad about it and protesting about it. This
Absolutely.
time, because it was out for the world to see and the world witnessed and saw that, I think you have more races and more other ethnic people with other ethnic backgrounds coming out and supporting this cause. I think it 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 empowered more than just us, and when you have other people supporting the cause as well, I think that's what the power where the power lies in with this particular time around. So it was powerful to be a part of. We have another one taking place today where that's in a community about 10, 15 minutes from me, where Eric Garner's mom is speaking at live. So I'm gonna hopefully take part in that one as well. But I think we're going in the right direction now. People at home, people are watching these things take place, and people want to make change. And I think this is the perfect time to do that while the world is kind of standing still.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some really powerful movements out there. I want, you know, we got some people that are watching with us and just saying some real powerful stuff to us right now. And, you know, shout out to Susan and Paul Fat, what's up, and Bernard Ravenel out there. Appreciate you coming, Dante Borders, and, you know, Chris Pruitt, saying, hey, ladies, love the conversation. Your voice matters. And um, I have Susan said that there's disparities in many aspects of life are being exposed right now. And, you know, she's absolutely right about that. Disparities in many aspects of life are being exposed right now because, you know, there's absolutely nothing to do there. You're right, Penny. There's no sports. So, you know, everything, there's a bigger light being shed on life and people doing the right things and acting right and being right and showing right and doing right. And if you don't, you're going to get exposed. And so, you know, now is a different day. It's definitely going to be different after this. Hopefully, there'll be some people that are going to be bigger, better, faster, and smarter. But then you always have those people who always lag behind and don't, always want to resist to change. Like I go and I walk every morning, and I prefer to do it in the morning because there's not as many people out there without masks on. And if people are out there and they don't have a mask on, it's not that many. But once you start getting to this time of the day, you start getting towards noon, you start getting towards 6 o'clock, especially after people get out of work, everybody's coming to the park, and that's great. Everybody wants to get in shape right now, take care of your health. But you don't have your mask on. And you don't have it on in numbers. You don't have it on, your kid don't have it on, your husband don't have it on. And you're not making sense because nobody really knows what this virus does. Nobody really knows whether it can't survive in the summertime. So like just play it safe. I say that all of the time and I can't say it enough. Continue to be safe out there with just because there's going to be parties, there's going to be barbecues, because it's hot, people are going to start wanting to do more. We're putting a tent up in the backyard. Is there going to be anybody in it besides me, my mother, and my father? Probably not.
Some lonely barbecues.
But listen, we could get it in. We know how to get it in, just us
Right.
three, So
That's right.
it's gonna be nice. It's a nice atmosphere and everything like that. But you know that people are gonna put tents up in their backyard and they're gonna have more than 3 people. They're gonna have 10 and 12 and 15. Once you start getting over that number, you guys, and you start stepping past your front door, you got to put the mask on. And I don't care if that's your boy or that's your girl and you want to hang out. Be that smart one in the crowd. I mean, do you guys feel me? Elaborate on that a little bit. Because I don't want to be the only one tripping.
I think to echo what you said, Adrienne, and it's about, it goes back to and what Meek had said earlier right here. It starts with you. Do your part. You know what I'm saying? If you can take care of you and taking care of yourself, social distancing, wearing a mask, when you go outside, if I can just do that one thing and make sure that I'm doing my part and everybody did that, everybody would be safe. So it's one of those things where, now, to sound corny, how they say, ask not what you can do for your world, but what you can do for the world itself. Sort of how I probably got the quote messed up, but it goes back to, let me do my part. And you know what to do. You know what to do. Never take it for granted. And it's like what Tara said. I went to a restaurant to pick up some food last night from the Cheesecake Factory because I won't be in the restaurant no time soon. And that's just me. And it's just like she said, I saw outside a whole bunch of people just standing with no mask on and kids that didn't have a mask on. And kids, they're the number one group, I think, that could be asymptomatic, that could bring it back to me, I'm over 50 and could catch it,
Mm-hmm.
And I just say, well, let me do my part. And I'm like you, Adrienne, when I text you this morning, hey, looking forward to Sunday brunch, you notice it was 6 o'clock, wasn't it? And Meek always know that I've been a morning person. So I have to be out of my house at 5:36. I like it because it's crisp in California. California will be hot. And it's a lovely place to get my thoughts together. I always call my morning walks 6 to 7 miles in the morning. I call them my grateful moments. Me and just being grateful for everything that I've been blessed with. And just like this morning, I said to myself, and this is irrelevant to the conversation now, even having to, put down my little dog yesterday, that, between the COVID, the corona, the protests and everything, it was a moment. And I said to myself, and this is what I mean by being mental again, and not to be long-winded, but being mental. I said, I refuse to let 2020 beat me. Yes. I refuse to let 2020 say it was the worst year of my life.
Absolutely.
No, I'm going to see the brighter parts about it. We're gonna arrive up out of coronavirus with an inclusive country. After all the protests, people understand and being considerate and being compassionate for people like Colin Kaepernick. When he bowed down, it's nothing against you personally. We all have a right to fight for something higher than ourselves. Once we come out of this, I think we're going to come out a more educated, stronger, powerful nation. But it goes back to, I got to do my part, and I'm asking everybody out there that's watching to spread the word that they encourage other people to do your part to make America the best country there ever was again. Period.
Absolutely, just come out on the other side better, bigger, faster, stronger, and that's what it's all about, and that's what this podcast is all about, and it's growing, and it's on a couple of different networks, and I really want people to follow us. I really want them to subscribe to YouTube. I really want them to, come to Instagram and go on Twitter and follow everything that we do, because we are going to preach the word and we are going to be in truth and we're going to talk about things. And it's not to bash people. It's about bringing awareness and solutions to situations. And so, we all have, great and valuable insights, and, it was, I have a friend who's actually watching right now, Susan, um, down in Virginia, and she was like, you guys, it's really, really unfortunate. And she's on Facebook right now on our live feed. She says it's really unfortunate that the rookies don't get the opportunity to get to experience that whole thing that we experience when we're being ushered into the league, and we have the press day, and taking pictures and doing videos and acting silly with the coaches and acting silly with the administration, and really giving the team and building an identity, and all of the collaboration that's involved in the beginning. There's so much blood, sweat, and tears that first month of the season. She's absolutely right. They don't get the opportunity to experience that, and I feel for them. Elaborate on that a little bit, Tameka.
That, and like I said earlier, that is rough. That's probably, the most difficult part for the rookies, to have their 2020 start off like this, and I should say their introduction to the league start off like this. It in no means, by no means means that, this is the end for them. There's going to be several opportunities for them to, to step foot into the league again. But, they have to take care, like I said earlier, take care of their part, remain ready, because, the phone could ring at any time. And I just think, opportunities are always gonna come. They'll come back, if you remain ready. The only thing you can control is what you can control, and that's you and what you bring to the table. But I think, it's tough. And it hurts for a moment, but you got to dust your shoulders off, dust your knees off, get back up and just be ready when the call comes again. Because you're going to have an opportunity to do it, again. And hopefully when that knock comes on the door, when somebody knocks at the door, you're ready to to open it and come through that door and be ready to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. That was always my motto before
Hmm.
it became a song, and it's a true statement, especially as an athlete. You always have to stay ready. You never know what's going to happen, especially when we were playing overseas, and at a moment's notice, you're on a team, and then the next year that team doesn't have a sponsor, and you're playing for another team, and you gotta wait for your agent to call you with a place for you to play. You don't know where you're gonna play. You know if you're gonna speak the language, where you're going to play, different factors. And so as an athlete, you get used to those ups and downs. They haven't even had the opportunity to even experience what I'm talking about because COVID shut that down as well, going overseas and playing. And so there's so many different things that are unfortunate that it happens. But when, successful people, they know how to navigate through these times. It's, right now it's sink or swim. I mean, who are you in these times? And it's just about plugging and keep going. And that's my advice. And as we close down the show, I always give everybody the opportunity to have some closing thoughts and give some positive thoughts to these young kids out there that are aspiring to be us as WNBA players. And of course, there's somebody out there aspiring to be a behavioral specialist, Tara. So why don't you start? Why don't you start it off?
Ooh, a long trip. A long trip and many years of school. No, I wanted to say one thing about Corona that I really hope rest with people today is to look at it as a blank canvas, because what we have, even with the protesting and the little seeds that we see is starting to bud from it, it took something to happen that was a travesty and something to shake people up to at least nibble on the seed, okay? At least look at the seed. You see what I'm saying? And so that is progress. So to look at the things that are happening through Corona, not Corona. See, if we stay focused on these circumstances, we are going to be in the hamster wheel of circumstances. You're going to always be worrying about this and worrying about that, and then you're going to start getting angry, and then you're going to start not getting motivated, and you're going to be emotionally having emotional breakdowns. It's true. It's just what's going to happen. But if you take that little piece of positivity and you pop with it, that will give you what you need to grow through this, not go through it. It is a tragedy. I don't want to slight what's going on. I mean, my brother explains to me sometimes in detail. We just had a conversation the other day, and I don't want to get long-winded. It opened my eyes up, just made me more paranoid. I've been like this. I've been wearing gloves, y'all. I've been wearing masks. I've been having my air in my home right and my water right. I've been doing that before Corona. So it's just now I get the license to do it, and my family doesn't say, you're crazy, you're a germ nut. I'm not a germ nut anymore. Do you know what I mean? So, and if you aren't, you need to become one. But I want to say, please, to all the parents out there, train your children to the different protocols, because honestly, they are our future. So I look at Corona as a blank slate, right? We've been raised up with a conditioning system of how it is, of who we're not as Black people, or who, this and who's that, and who's a celebrity and who's not, and they're better. And this Corona knocked all of that out. There's no more egos in this game, because that's what I'm saying. You're not exempt from it. That is powerful. So people who never had the time to connect to people, empathize with people, slow down because they are so successful, you are regular now. I mean, you've been regular in God's word. We're all humble. He just blesses us more than we can imagine in times. But what I'm saying is we're all equal, and that is why the little seeds can bud right now and grow right now, because no one's exempt from it. People, all of us are at home, and all of us are growing through this the best way that we can. That's why we're reachable now, and that's what I'm saying. Use this opportunity to reach out, but please be safe. Teach your children. Corey has tag. He cannot touch them anymore. Now you're it. And you point to the person, or you can't play tag. I'm serious with this stuff, because the children, they are don't be fooled by those little cute faces, because they are full of germs on their hands, and my phone fell, on their little hands and their feet and their mouths. I did. But because I got the passionate. That's that jersey coming out when we talk with our hands. I am passionate. But I just want to say, we can recondition our children. We can recondition people who would never be open to associating with us. We can recondition now, because we have a blank slate. And the more it becomes blank, the more it's open, and the more we can recreate. So that's all I'm saying. But please stay safe and wear those masks, please.
Amen. Tameka?
I would just say, just to piggyback off what Tara was saying, in these times, I think it's an opportunity for us all to do something that we've never done before. Find our passion, find something that we can do. And in this time, like for me, reading has always been my passion. I never had time. I had to start going to audiobooks because I'm always on the go. But it's nice to sit down and open up a book and go back to the old school way of doing it. And I've been doing that a lot. So find something that you're passionate about. Get back into doing that, while kind of the world is in a standstill position. And then, if you're passionate about, the social justice issues that we're going through now, get out there and be a part of it. Because it's, would definitely change your mindset a little bit. If you can't get out there, donate to a cause, that maybe is in line with your beliefs and what your values are. But these are some things, some simple things that we can do and take from in these difficult times. It's going to be a new world when we come up out of this, and
Oh, yes.
I think we've all taken a step forward.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's just great. That's great advice, to connect with the people. And, we always save it. We always save the godmother for last because she did it bigger. Uh, so bring us in with the closing thoughts. So come on, Virginia, bring us home.
Well, the godmother is going to take us across the line again today. Meek and Tara, I loved everything you said, and that's for the people, for the individual. I want to speak to the nation right now. I don't believe in coincidences. And even though this coronavirus looks like it's a bad thing, it's not. It's making America take a look, all of us take a look at what we value and the responsibility and accountability as an individual that we need to bring to the table to make the world a better place to live. So it's going to show us that we need to do better. We need to be better. And I'm going to end it on this. Black Lives Matter, and God bless America.
I'm going to add, in God we trust, and he who is within us is greater than he who is in the world. That always stands with me, and no weapon formed against us shall prosper, especially for those who are in Christ. And ladies, I love you. Goodies angels,
Yes, for
goodies
sure.
angels. Every Sunday time I had to change it from Sunday brunch to goodies angels. Love you so much. It's always a pleasure to come together, us four, and do what we're doing, changing the world, being the change we want to see in the world, preaching and teaching and inspiring as usual on the other side of this basketball thing. And so I'm always appreciative. And, I holding up the empty glass because it's green.
I have nothing left.
It's
I
green.
Love
spilled
y'all.
mine. Love y'all too.
So one love. Until next week, stay real. Keep making a change in the world like you do every single week. I need to see you on that step up at both of you, Tameka and Virginia. Just keep getting on my
Hey, you know
nerves.
what? I'm going to do it this week. I'm activated.
Sarah is harassing me. I'm the only one
I
on here.
am.
Help
I'm
me.
harassing you.
She really is, you guys.
And I got to win a few days too. So I was like, look, who's not an athlete? I don't believe in that.
I'm walking and she's on a treadmill.
I don't care.
But I tell her, I
I
said,
won.
I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you that because you're doing your thing, and it's hard. Taking steps are hard. It really is. There's a
Send me the
newfound
link.
respect
Send
for
me the link
10,000
again,
steps.
Goody.
Wait,
But
All
it's
right.
Send me the
I got all my
fun.
data on my Apple Watch. I'm out there every day.
Girl, I'm gonna have to step
Meek,
into
I'm
the
competitive.
fun.
Somebody about to
another.
go to the grave.
I don't need
I know
another
that's right.
gadget.
Treadmill or not, I'm competitive. Somebody better up it.
Look, listen, you need to come on because
It's fun. It's
it's
fun.
hard. It's hard being a sister right now on that step up app by herself.
Because I keep winning. Because I keep winning.
Y'all gonna let me do it? Don't let her do that to me.
I gotta jump in. Send me the link.
I did already, Tameka. Don't
I don't
even
want to
try
go.
it. Oh,
I
send me the
don't want to
link.
scroll back. I don't want to scroll back. Send it to me again. No, I'll find it. I'll find it.
Okay, good. I'm gonna send it back again. All right. And to everybody out there, whoever came on to the show, thank you so much for watching, and come and check us out. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow on Insta because we on the move. This is gonna be a beautiful thing. See you,
Stay
ladies.
safe, everybody.
Have a good week, ladies.
Be blessed.
All right.